where are you in Wisconsin?
Yeah, man, let's let it rip if you're good to go.
Sure.
I am in Wisconsin. I'm in your old stomping grounds here.
Oh,
I'm in Milwaukee, right in Bayview, and you're in Portland, and it's good to see you. It's been way too long.
okay. It's great to see you, Brett. You're a world traveler, my friend.
Well, man, you're one of my all-time musical heroes, man. So it's cool to
Oh, dude.
see you do stuff and then become pals over the years. We're like best buddies now.
Hey, I don't know what to say. Thank you. I love you, man.
Love you too.
You're an inspiration. I'm really happy about your book.
Thanks, bro.
Blowing up.
So last time I talked to you, you were in like somewhere really random. Weren't you in like the middle of Kansas or the middle of Albuquerque? And at your like brother's hosting up in a
It
bar?
might as well be. Yeah, you could just name anything. I was in Oklahoma, outside of Oklahoma City, for all of COVID, and I went out there for a visit in in Christmas of 2019, 2020, and ended up staying for a year and 3 months. Who knew?
Was that
you know,
rough?
I'll admit, yes, it was very rough. It was a very tough year for me. It was really, I think like a lot of musicians, I considered, maybe not a lot of musicians, I considered just, my life was changed. I didn't know if I was going to be a musician afterwards, and all kinds of stuff happened.
Were you,
But,
yeah, go ahead.
no, that's my story. I went out there, and my brother lives outside of Oklahoma City. He doesn't actually live there. He lives in Florida, but he had a place. And I was visiting for Christmas. Then he went back to Florida. And I said, well, I want to stay a month or so, and go back to Joshua Tree. And then when COVID happened, it literally like, well, I'm not going anywhere, So luckily I have everything in my car always, or in storage. So I just ended up staying alone outside of Oklahoma City, in a little house on my brother's property for a year and 2 months alone. It was really, it was like prison in a way. It's like, I feel like I got out of prison and I really learned my lesson. I'm a curmudgeon, and just, I always want to be alone. Not after COVID. I don't always want to be alone. I love humans now. It was super rough. One good thing though, my neighbor, I was way out in the country, and my closest neighbor, I mean, it's Oklahoma. It's a pretty red state, and my neighbor was my buddy, but he was really Republican. I hate to talk politics or whatever, but I'm not Republican. I was really I was the opposite direction. And yet we had to be buddies because we were is my only friend out there. Yeah. So we got along really well. And the message being that, like, if I can get along with this guy and we don't know each other through social media, but then, it just shows how social media, the algorithms just drive people apart. Because if I didn't know his politics,
yeah, completely.
If I didn't know his politics, it's a net loss. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure. A guy named Jordan Lanier, I believe, Jaron Lanier, I believe, he's one of the guys who I'm going to get it wrong, but he might have been one of the pioneers of Facebook or some other app. He does talks now where that's the first thing he says. It's like, if you have a social media account and you don't need it for your business, I want you to delete it right after this talk,
Powerful.
Just because it's like the thing that I made is destroying society.
Yeah. I mean, we're just kind of at the beginning of that time where all that information is coming out, and we're finally getting data that says it is terrible for you, just like any other drug, just like any other vice, booze, or
But this is a smart drug that knows how to destroy you.
That's right.
And follows you around and learns your weaknesses. It's terrible.
Yep.
Of course, just like you're really, it has a consciousness, a growing evil consciousness. Yeah, but you do it really well, and you have to do it for your biz. I don't do it that well, but I have to do it. But if I could, I'd love to not do it. Though at this point,
would you love to go back to like pre-internet rock and roll and touring? Would that be a good thing?
It's like asking, like, would I like? Yes, but it's like, would I like it if we go back to the days of 2-inch tape? It's like, yeah, I'd like that, but it ain't going to happen. Unfortunately, it's with us. I wonder about that if I just had a job or whatever, or if I all of a sudden, I don't know, man, just like had some way to make money without being a musician. I probably would by now. The addiction has me, like, to calling it a drug. I'd probably stay on social media just because, I wonder what's happening with such and such,
Have you
it's
ever had
got
a
me.
real job?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't think I've ever made a honest stage dollar in my life. No, since I got a record deal, I haven't had a job in 1994. I've been a bum since then, basically. I had a job. I was an office guy when I moved to New York. I mean, word processor. I knew how to type. The one thing I learned out of high school. And I got a job in an architect's office, and I loved my job. I think about it all the time. My last job was great. I wish I could have just stayed there and been the guy who typed letters.
No kidding.
But I left to, my manager said, you got to quit your job. We're going on the road. And since then, I've just been a bum, basically. You know how it is as a musician. You got to just, like, I'm not going to, after my divorce, I'm not going to own any property again. I'm not going to have health insurance. I'm not going to have this, I'm just a musician. I get the joy of giving people music.
Do you think that was like becoming a full-time musician was like a net loss for your mental health?
It destroyed me in a way. Sure. No, I mean, I really mean that, it's what it was the success that I had so quickly, because I was not one of the people who, I had a job and I played open mics. I hadn't been a musician like a lot of people I met in Nashville and Austin. Hadn't been in a band since I was 14 and cut my teeth. And by the time I'm 20, I'm a veteran. It's just that, hell, I didn't even know how to tune my guitar on stage when I got a major label deal. And so I didn't know how to act. And that really did. Yeah. I probably would be much more sane and happy if I just stayed in an office. But hey, this is all just fantasizing.
Did you have very you? Like when you got signed and you're like, you didn't know anything?
I had the word. I make bad decisions. Like I got married. I made a bad decision that ruined I hate to say it. And, I hired a manager who was just he didn't know how to help me. He liked the idea that I had a major label deal and money was coming in. Yeah. But no, I didn't have anybody. I don't want to bitch about it, but I do on that point. I've said many times, like, I could someday see talking to a young musician if they wanted. And I've talked to a couple actually to tell them, like, son, I've gone down this trail. Don't do this, And because it's true, there are things you didn't know. Like my psychological problems, whatever they are, they made it where the success made me more of an asshole than I expected. There's the old adage that success reveals you instead of changes you. So it's like, wow, I didn't realize I was such a dick, and it really kind of hurt. It's like, man, I guess I'm not the nice guy I thought, because the first few years were really rough.
Maybe like
seemingly.
Maybe becoming a musician is a little like marriage, where the first couple of years you're in like this honeymoon phase, and like you're just riding high on the adrenaline, on the novelty, and then reality sets in. You're like years down the road on the literal road, just getting your ass handed to you, and you realize how much work it actually is and how destabilizing it can be for your brain. And I mean, it really is like the least conducive job for neurotic people, yet it's the main job for neurotic
people. It's a complete. It is. It's like a song. It's like It's like a plot of a song. It's irony. It's like, damn. It's like an alcoholic getting a job in a brewery. It's just doesn't. It was whatever. But I do admit that. Well, I don't know how to say this. I mean, young artists are watching this actually. No, it's like, I think that a manager, a skilled manager, would have been the best thing I could have had. And I had the chance. This guy was going to we were going to work together. And I passed on him, or this woman, this company. I was like, damn, they would have really set me straight. And a couple of people tried to early on. a friend John Sykes from VH1. He's like, sit me down. He's like, this is going to happen to you, and you should do this and this and this, and I just wouldn't listen. But anyway, because I have to admit, I do admit, that's the hard thing. I fucking caught the golden ring. It was weird. Like all of a sudden, it's like, are you kidding me? Like my face is on TV, and my teeth have been capped, and like my mom has her friend. You know how it is when people are successful. It's like all these people were calling her who never would call her. Mm-hmm. It's now that their son's on TV and stuff. It just was really, I coulda, woulda, shoulda, but it was so strange. They were trying to make me a freaking star, and I didn't realize it. Mm. It kind of freaked me out later. I was like, oh God damn it. I wish I would have had the ability to rise to that occasion.
So you
just,
you feel like you,
no, I should have.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I should have just made not many people get that opportunity. And just on that point, I came up in New York and New Jersey as a singer-songwriter. There were people who were doing that long before me, and a lot harder, and working really well. And all of a sudden, this guy they've never heard of gets the record deal.
Right.
So that was for I was like, what? Who the fuck is that?
Were they
really
pissed? Did you hear like through the?
I don't know. To my face, they weren't.
Yeah.
To my face, they weren't. But it was definitely a lot of like, whatever. I mean, it was just clearly that's what happened. Mm. But I admit it. They really wanted things to go a certain way for me. And if there had been, back to that point, if there'd been the right guy at the helm, the right manager, it could have happened. I'm not going to worry about it. I think I was just too fucked up mentally. It was not going to happen. I smoked too much weed.
What was the point where you were like on tour and you realized you were in over your head?
It was after I made my record, and I was opening up for really big artists, and I realized just what a schmuck I was somehow, just like not knowing how to act, waking up the next morning, it's like, wow, I was a dick last night. What happened? Not being able to just, well, I don't know what it was. It just not that hard, just like turning into this person when I'd have a few beers, and just thinking that I deserved everything. I don't know what it was, Frank. I freely admit, like obviously it seems like it's another person. I just didn't know how to really just lean into it and say, hey man, this is great. I made it, and I'm doing this for all the people who didn't make it. And I'm going to, like, if I do it again, I'd make my second record. I'd go back to Kinsley, Kansas and make it about them. And I'd record it there and, appreciate where I'm from and all this stuff. Mm. Try to get some good out of it. And I would have started a rural, this is just fantasization, but I only had the chance for a few years, taking whatever money they gave me and gone back to Kansas and started something that would now have grown up. Like, I want to give away musical instruments to poor kids in Kansas, and let's start doing this, or I want to develop a reading program just because I could. Mm. It's like I had this advantage of people knew my name. It's fucking weird, Brett, because some people just are that way. There's, when you're on the TV, they think you're some kind of other person. It still happens. I did a couple of gigs. It's really it still freaks me out here in Portland, when somebody meets you, it's like, wow, okay, wow, all right, wow, you're right here. So I'm meeting you, that's amazing, and instead of like, hey, how you doing, Freedy? They see you as like this other thing. And especially when I look so much different, through the years. I admit it.
What about early on? Did you always know you were kind of like an anxious person, or was that something you just realized way later?
Well, no, it's something I knew. The problems predated me. I have like any songwriter who writes sad songs, they come from a place. So I had, a broken family and all that stuff. And, I had a lot of mental problems and still do. I take my pills every day, but, I'm better now. I've learned to be, as they say, I don't want to sound trite about it, but really grateful, at least I'm getting the gratitude now and understanding how lucky I was that it happened. Pardon me for coughing. Gosh, how we can mute that. I may have to go get some water myself, but I'll be okay.
If you want to get water, go for it. I'll cover you.
Do you want to edit it out?
Yeah, or just whatever. Grab water and I'll kind of talk
okay.
About your backstory.
Talk about your book. I'll be right back.
So FREEDY and I, we met. Where did we meet? Somewhere in Wisconsin. So FREEDY has a lot of ties to Wisconsin. His ex-girlfriend's from there. He recorded a bunch of music at Smart Studios, where Nevermind by Nirvana was mixed. Butch Vig worked out of Smart Studios. Most of you know Butch Vig's one of the most famous rock producers of all time. He's from right outside of Madison, Wisconsin. So FREEDY was right in this orbit of this kind of magic rock and roll happening in this little town in Madison, Wisconsin, around that Smart Studios scene. And so things kind of helped take off around there, and it's a really sweet group of people. Butch Vig is such a sweet person. He comes to Wisconsin all the time, helps out younger artists. He actually was supposed to do the
right. Okay,
so gotta get him on here. FREEDY, you back for the attack?
I'm good, man. Yeah, here we are.
That was a smooth. It was all smooth. No.
I just want to make sure I'm still recording. Yes, I am. We're 16 minutes in. We're still recording on the phone. Thank you, Android, for not fucking you like you usually do.
So what was it like to be you just happened to be living in Wisconsin when Butch Vig was making all those records at Smart Studio? How did that line up? Well,
no, again, how fortunate I was. First of all, to go back, I do want to say that, because this is kind of a thing that, I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking to the world too. Like when I made my record, Can You Fly? That's what really made it for me. And my manager at the time, I just want to say this in case he's ever listening. I've talked to him about it, but we don't really talk anymore. But my manager at the time really made that record extra special by getting all these musicians together that I never would have gotten together for Can You Fly. I wrote the damn songs. I mean, I take full credit for that. And without anybody else, I would have made the same record, I think. But that record really did me well. I don't know if you know my first record, but it's so, not to disparage myself, but it's really not that good of a record to me. Mm-hmm. And at least I don't sound the same. And then Can You Fly, when I did that, everyone was like, wow, this is a really good record.
With a Bad Reputation?
No, it's the one before that.
Okay.
It's the one with the girl jumping up in a black and white photo on the cover. And so that really changed my life when I made that record. I just didn't realize that I had it in me or something, like the songs really came out well. I don't know what the question was, but that was how it changed, was that record.
It is. And then how you spend so much time working on songs, and you write them and you think some of them are good, and then you come back to them and you're like, I don't know, is this really good? And then you kind of don't necessarily know exactly what's going to happen in the very end product. But sometimes you just capture lightning in a frickin' bottle, and it's incredible.
Yeah, it's not always your decision, and or maybe it's rarely your decision even. But it happened at least, and so that record got such critical acclaim that it got me a record deal. And I remember the night, it's kind of mythical. Me and my band was playing CBGBs, and there were a group of label execs who were there kind of bidding on me. It's like, it's so weird, I mean, I can just say this really happened. It's like, God, and I still had my day job. I was still going to go have to go to work in the morning, but that's how I met Butch. Since Butch was a big fan of Can You Fly, and he just made Nirvana. He just made the Smashing Pumpkins record after Nirvana. He's the biggest producer on the scene.
Yeah. Totally.
And I said to Elektra, I want to work with Butch Vig. And they're like, you do? Okay, let's go get him. And so all of a sudden I'm like meeting Butch Vig in New York. It's like, wow, I really can't believe this is happening, because Butch is really, as you know, he's a prince among men. He's really one of the most genuine, nice, patient, just good people on the planet.
He's
His
like the
whole,
most
his
Wisconsin guy ever, even after living like this
he
life of a super celebrity. Like he comes
he
back to the
is,
state and like you
man.
see him and he's like, "How you doing, man? Good to
How
see
you
you."
doing? He's the best dude in the world, and his brother too. They come from, it's good parenting, good Wisconsin parenting. They're
Baroqua, one of the best
really
towns of all
true.
time. I go there all the time.
It's quite a town, isn't it?
Hell of a
It's
town.
getting better.
Yeah.
It's a really great hippie bastion now. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
He reminds me whenever I met the guys from Cheap Trick, like Tom Peterson, and they're just like that too. Tom Peterson lives down in Nashville. I said, "Hey, how you doing? Nice." There's just the Wisconsin niceness is a beautiful thing.
It helps to live in the Midwest. I think the world is slowly
Uh-huh.
realizing the Midwest is kind of it's like a good place for mental health. I mean, America in general, terrible for mental health, but I think the Midwest is
Mm-hmm.
probably a little more cushioned from the insanity. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I think that I agree. I think the expectation of, full mental health or whatever the hell it is in our current world, there's only so much you can hope for. There's so much going on. You're going to, living in the modern world, at least, unless you unplug and just get off the grid and get totally, don't watch TV, don't listen to anything. Otherwise, you're going to have some insanity
You're
in
going
your
to get
head.
knocked
There's
off
just
balance for sure.
It's too much going on, too much crazy stuff. Like, look, Waukesha, like thinking about that, right? It's like, oh man, I got to think about this now.
Yeah, I mean, I was sitting in the sauna today at the gym, and this old Republican guy sat next to me, and we were just having a chat, and it's a fine chat. But then he just started reciting news stories at me, and it was like, all right, reiterating Fear TV in real time now, and it's like it doesn't. What are you going to do about it? Like, what are you going to do about Waukesha? How are you going to change the world? I mean, you're not. But it's like, what is the net gain from watching the news at this point?
No, we are prisoners of our own creation, and there's just no good way out of it. I mean, that's just the way it is. Things aren't going to get radically better quickly. But as you know, like if you can unplug a bit, or if you just don't watch TV and you just live your life with the people around you, life is the same.
Yeah,
life
that's the answer, it seems.
Life is pretty damn normal if you don't let the stuff come in. Mm-hmm. I remember living with Christy out in Shorewood on the lake there, and I'd go walk over with Sparky in this nice neighborhood, and we'd walk by this older lady's house and chat with her, and she lived there for decades in Madison. And I always thought about her as like, if she didn't watch the news, if she just hung out with her friends, the last 50 years would have been great. She would have no idea of what else went on, in the world, and would be very happy and very wild, huh? It's like you can do that.
Yeah.
But I had, I didn't want that. I definitely had I came up in the late 70s, early 80s. My dream was to be a rock star, tour the world, I didn't know what that was, but it certainly wasn't to go to college and get a degree and be a good person.
So what was the vision you had in your brain of what it was like to be a rock star versus what it actually was when you did it?
I thought it was something that I wasn't educated in it. Pardon me.
No, you're good. Have a water slug.
Enough to know. I didn't know what to expect. That's again back to the manager thing. Like I didn't know what to expect, because really it was just having to learn a new job and how to develop a work ethic around that job and just start working, like yourself, rather than just like, okay, now I'm a big star. I'm going to go, buy a car and just hang out all the time, smoke weed and write a song now and again.
What was the first big purchase you made once you got money?
I don't know. When I first got money, it was very strange. And I've started buying needlessly. I started buying guitars and amps just to have them, I don't think I bought anything really big. I eventually bought an apartment, which, as I've said, I lost in my divorce. But that was my big purchase, was a New York apartment. It doesn't matter, man. It's just the past. It happened. I'm I'm really very fortunate. I just finished my Kickstarter campaign and it was successful, and we raised almost twice as much as our goal.
Cool.
It's just, I'm so now, I almost want to title my record, and I still might. My fans are the best fans. Just because the people who contributed to Kickstarter, they're like, they really believe in me and love me and need my music, and I'm making up for lost time in really appreciating that.
Yeah, man. I mean, what a cool thing. It's like, how many people are still doing it, still doing the road and making a living? You gotta love that, as hard as weird as
on that point, a lot of people are. That's the thing. It's what gives me faith to keep going. All these artists who I used to know in high school, they're still out there. Like I saw, America is on the road, or like just name any old band. They're in some form still doing it. So I'll always be doing it. Now, now I have a label, and I'm back with Frank Riley,
nice.
my booking agent,
of booking.
the Godfather, and like 22 is just going to be, I'm back up on my pony, I'm going to move back to New Jersey. It's just, life is good.
Love it.
I'm trying to look forward.
So do you have a place to live now, or are you kind of nomading around? What are you doing for lodging?
No, I have a rental till the spring out in Joshua Tree, out in the desert, right next door to my buddy Victoria Williams.
Nice.
It's a little, musician camp there.
Oh yeah, I was just there not too long ago.
It's nice, man. It's not where I'm gonna land, though. I've been a vagabond since I got divorced, But I lived in New Jersey a few years ago, and I've always lived in the area. I just love Jersey City, so I'm gonna find my way back. I was there in October for a gig. It just reminded me how much I love it.
I remember seeing you. I was out in LA a year or two ago, and you were like basically living in some kind of acquaintance's house up at the top in the Hollywood Hills, looking over the city in this cool, weird mansion. And he just let you live there for like a couple months.
I was very lucky. I'm just a lucky guy, very lucky guy. I came out in 2018 in the winter for my little dog, he was going to have one more winter in him. And I couldn't put him through the snow and ice. And I lost my lease in Jersey City. And I said, well, hell, I'm going to California, literally just like the Zeppelin song, And I booked a bunch of house gigs, and me and the dog got in my car, which a really dear friend bequeathed upon me, gave me her car, and we went to California. And I had friends there.
No plans.
Said, yeah, come
lodging. You just got in and went.
Oh, hell no. No, I knew Wally. So I went and stayed with Wally for a little bit. But then my friend Rob Lawfer said, come stay with me. I'm like, yeah, okay, where do you live? Here's my address. And it was at the top of the Hollywood Hills. Literally, I hope he's not watching. I don't want to say, but it's a freaking $10 million mansion, with a pool and tennis court, and you can see the Hollywood sign and stuff. I was like, what the hell?
Courtney loves your neighbor or whatever,
It's just really pretty much as nice as you're going to want. And, ridiculously nice. And so I stayed in his guest house, which was among the nicer houses I've ever stayed in. That was his guest house.
It seemed like when I saw you, you were in a bit of a kind of a wobbly place maybe, but I only hung out with you for 2 hours.
I was in a bad place with the dog dying. It still is really hard on me. I don't want to be one of those people, but I'll probably start crying if I talk about my dog. It was a terrible, terrible time. And I'm making this record now. What is it? It's 2021. But I had recorded these songs before that time. And they kind of for whatever reason, I won't get into it, for stupid legalities, I wasn't able to access those recordings. Because frankly, the complete asshat dick who was helping me make the music, I'm sorry to say that, just said, well, I'm not releasing it unless you do it my way. So that stuff's still in this dude's drawer. So that's kind of what it was. I was late in my career. I screwed up, stepped in dog shit, and had recorded a bunch of music that I couldn't access. So there I was in California, not able to make a record, a dying dog, no home. And so anyway, not to bitch, but so then after the dog died, poor boy, and then the year went by, I went to Oklahoma again, just to kind of like, I'll get my head together for a few months with my brother. And that's when I ended up staying there. And that was the start of the real like head refit, really having to quit music for a month or two in my mind and then coming back to it and realizing this is what I do. I can rise up. The webcasts I started doing then. I started doing the webcasts then, and that helped. Frankly, I'm doing one this Wednesday. They really do keep me sane.
Because last time I talked to you, we talked about maybe teaming up for a few things. You said you were just trying to stay off the road for a bit. Are you kind of past that where you're feeling good again in your brain to like go back out?
I wanted to get on the road again. Yeah, if you ask me now, I'd probably say let's do it. That's not even that long ago. I mean the summer was even rough, but this Kickstarter campaign has really helped, and getting past like that past business mistake and stuff. I don't want to. I'm sorry if I said shit about the guy.
No, you're good.
I just said it, but it's reality. Hey, man, it's somebody fucks with me and my music. I'm going to get mad about it. So
of course,
or thinks that they have ownership of my music, that they made it happen. It's like what?
That's such like an old school like old school industry story, like the producer hijacking the masters, or the masters, and then like you can't.
It's what it is.
Yeah.
I will say I'm already said a lot, but it's because the guy was an amateur. He's not in the biz. That's why. Nobody who was a real professional would act like he acted.
Right.
They would be bounced out of the biz. Nobody would ever talk to them again. But the fact that he's just a dude who has a really good job on the side and thinks he's a record producer, like you say, he acted like they did in the old days because he thought that's how you acted.
Yeah, that is the net gain of the internet. If we want to talk about a net gain there, it's like it does. You can't be a douchebag and a criminal and stay in the business. You know what I mean? You will get flushed out eventually.
Sure, and that's good. Certainly that as far as lessons that we were talking about, what I would say to young artists, that would be the number one. It's like somehow try to find a way to not be an ass, try to be a good person. If you can find it in you, it will get you further than talent almost,
Do you meet many jerks on the road or in the biz now? I feel like people are mostly pretty nice, or at least they're fake nice.
Everybody's great. No, at my level, at my age, everybody's fantastic. If they used to be a jerk, they're not anymore, I'm not, I don't know about you. You're out there working, but I haven't. I did my third band gig since the spring of 2019 last night. So I'm not even back yet. It's just so I haven't had a chance to encounter the biz so much.
I loved your residency when you were doing that residency out in LA, and I came to see you. We sang Tom Petty.
Oh yeah,
Petty tune.
My dog was probably there. Yeah, that was probably about the time. That was a good thing. I love those guys.
I love your shows because you're willing to take risks on banter and just ramble, and sometimes you come up with this just incredible genius, and then sometimes it will fall flat, and then you'll make fun of yourself for bombing, and it all works every time. It's
yeah, people like seeing that. They like honesty.
Have you always had more of a, for lack of a better word, more of an unhinged show where anything can happen, as opposed to having a scripted set?
I don't know. Well, maybe I did, but the last 3 shows I've done, I've had a set list at least 3 weeks in advance for the band, and I've sent them a zip file with all the MP3s 3 weeks in advance. And I did the set list just like I said I would 3 weeks previous, and didn't do a lot of banter. So now I really have gotten to where I can do it now, because really, the banter has to be I get tired of it after a while. I want to see an artist do their songs and talk about some things, and let stuff just come into their head. I did the gig I did in October 3rd, the Hoboken Arts Fest, opening for the Smithereens with Marshall, with Marshall Crenshaw. Oh, such an awesome band. And so, yeah, I got up there and did the gig and didn't banter too much. It was wonderful. It was really, really wonderful to do that gig in Hoboken. If anyone is watching who was there, it was super, whatever is the word, rejuvenating.
Yeah.
To see all these people out there, a lot of them, singing along. Not everybody had their masks on, it's singing along to my songs, and you could tell like they'd been doing that for decades. It's just like, it's hard to describe how good that made me feel
as a band, or especially as a songwriter, is seeing someone sing the words and you have no idea who that person is. Actually, I just found out, we just got done with 10 dates in a row, and someone was telling me after one of the shows that our drummer Steve, he like sings along to the songs. Like, he doesn't have a microphone, but he's like back there singing. And I didn't even know he did that, but that made me feel amazing. It's like, it's such a great feeling, not only as like a songwriter, but also as like an audience member. I remember going to shows and like seeing the drummer or someone else in the band singing the words that they weren't even mic'd up. And I was like, oh, that's cool. They're fucking into it. That's amazing.
Well, they're into it, but they're technically also, like, I remember seeing that too. The first time I saw that was like Steve Ferrone singing along with Tom Petty. And it's technically an advantage. Like, he's keeping with the song and the dynamics, and it helps him to play the song better, to sing along.
Big time.
I think that's probably, maybe if you talk to your drummer, it's like, yeah, I'm doing this to play better, not just because I love your songs.
Don't tell me that.
Let
me dream.
No, but it really, no, let me dream, man. Don't burst my bubble. But if I was a drummer in a band and the guy was singing songs, I want to sing along, sure.
Are you going out with your band when you tour again, or do you like being by yourself in a car driving around America?
I love playing with a band. It's just, it's a financial thing. Can it be done? Like, I did the gig here because Ezra got the band together and made it all happen financially.
Fun.
So I'd rather do that. It's just a matter of and I hope to, when I get the record out. It's strange to be back in the world where I'm going to put a release out. So, and I have Frank involved. So, we're going to get the record out next late summer or fall, but you need the 6-month advance for print media, which is, I'm really happy with. So I have to get the record done by the end of February.
That's exciting, man. For those of you listening, Frank Riley is like, he's kind of like the alternative indie rock, like super boss of booking. So he's like the guy you want on your side as a booking agent. So I think
he does Wilco and Lucinda.
Revival here, Freedy. It's going to be big.
It's really good. I'm quite happy about it. So, I mean, the record label has said, yeah, this is only going to work, Freedy, if you can do 100 dates a year. It's like, wow. Okay. I mean, that's every weekend,
Who's the label now?
It's a label, LA label, 40 Below Records.
Okay. Well, that's a lot to ask. 100 dates. Damn.
No, but I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. I'll do that. I really look forward to it. So that's, I'm happy with getting back up on my pony. And when I see our buddies in Garbage, they're still doing it. So I realize the road doesn't end until pardon me, the road doesn't end until it runs out, it just keeps going. So
it's so key to get some off time. I feel you when you talk about just needing for your own brain to just stay sane, to just get off the road. And
I want to be on the road now.
Yeah, there you go.
I know I lost track. Yeah, I know. I would love it if I could just get in a bus right now with guys and say, yeah, we're going across the country. It's been a long time since.
What do you do to stay stable on the road in that disorienting environment?
Oh, it's been so long. I haven't done it for such a long time.
Yeah.
I haven't been in a bus with a band for a long, long time. Now I'd be fine with it. I'd find all kinds of things to do, just like do my, read a book and do my ab roller thing in the hotel room, and go walk around town just instead of hitting the bars and that kind of shit. So
a 6-pack. Do you still drink
no,
beer?
I'm an old man. It's like I need to do the ab roller. No, I'm not that guy. It's actually I got to keep on it, and it helps my I'm an old guy, Brett, so it helps my arthritis a lot.
It's all about the
You
core,
know?
they tell me. You got to keep a strong core. Everything, man.
It just helps mentally. Yeah, I'm a guy who walks every day. So I have this walk in the desert. I live in the desert now, and the desert is right next to my yard. And so I walk uh, 2.25 miles one way into the creosote bushes,
Really?
down this
No
dry
path?
riverbed, and I'd walk 2.25 miles back every day. And I have my headphones on, classical music on. It's just like I come back to the house. I'm like, oh, I can work now. My body, my mind body thing has been given what it needs.
Don't get lost out there, man. I was just out there. I could not believe how hot it gets at midday, where it's like you can't actually go outside because the desert will consume you. Like if the car breaks down, you will die. Like the sun will deep fry you, and you will melt into smithereens. And
if you don't have water, yeah, it's really people die out there.
I think you're still sketchy, but yeah,
it's definitely true that every year. Last summer, somebody died out I'm right next to Joshua Tree Park. So somebody died out in the park. They didn't find him for a while. Mm-hmm. He just got disoriented, and by the time he found, it was just too late.
Shit.
There's another girl. She's kind of in national news. This girl Lauren, who went missing in Yucca Valley. She got mad at her boyfriend and walked away into the desert. Well, they just found her body, just a few weeks ago. It's like who knows how she just got lost in the hills, and you're lost.
And he's out there because I slept in my friend's backyard for a few nights, and like they were on the other side of the fence, like probably 20 of them just going nuts. It was horrible.
Oh yeah, they come through my yard every night. And every morning. I wouldn't want to have a cat or a pet. You'd want to watch it. I hear it. Yeah,
humans ever got attacked by coyotes? Is that something?
Little kids have. Now, if we're going to get morbid and talk about true, yeah, they will attack kids.
What a bunch of jerks!
No, they're jerks. They're little predators. There's this amazing video footage from Ohio or somewhere, just in this housing development, and you see this coyote walking down the paved street, and this little girl who's maybe like 4 or 5 just playing in her yard, and the coyote stops in the street, looks up, and then sneaks down, gets back around the cars, pardon me, and she thinks it's a dog, and she sees it runs into the yard, and it looks at her like, hey, and she realizes it's looking at me, and she runs to the house, and it starts chasing her.
Oh shit!
And she makes it up to the steps and gets in. And the coyote just comes right after, and then just keeps going because it misses her. It was like, holy, they're only the size of a big-sized dog. It was like, yeah, it didn't want to play.
Oh.
So yeah, they're freaking dangerous. I don't worry about it. I go out just before dawn, when I walk for the heat, and so I hear them, but I don't worry about it. I don't think they would mess with the full-size adult.
I mean, I think the thing you got to worry about out in the desert, and it's like kind of hard to explain, but there's just like so many lost souls out there. A lot of drug problems out. It's like the parolees, they call them, where every 7-Eleven you go by, there's just like 2 or 3 just sketchy dudes with just like 4 teeth just like lurking outside of the 7-Eleven every time.
That's California. It's yeah, the desert is a it's, what's the word? It shows the divide in our economic world as much as anywhere else. Like there are a lot of rich folks, well-off folks who live there who've driven up the housing prices, and then most of the other folks just have regular jobs. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of housing shortage because, like in Yucca Valley, the average income is $45,000. And the average house costs $300,000. Wow. So something's wrong there, It's because the prices have been driven up by folks moving from LA during the pandemic.
Sure.
And yet still, out in the desert, I've given people rides when I go into town. I live in Joshua now. Well, yeah, because they're locals. Like I live now in town, but I live like.
You tell they're not sketch.
they probably were. I was just like, I wasn't going to just let them go. And they were really grateful. You know, it's like, yeah, I live up here, man. My car's broken down, man. And thanks a lot.
How many
So,
times have you done that?
well, it's just this guy and his wife who I'd seen walking. I'm like, what are you doing walking out? What are you guys doing walking out here? He said, well, our car broke down. We're trying to get into Joshua. I was like, well, come on, get in.
When
Yeah.
was that? There was a time in America where you could just hitchhike, right? That was like a thing that was normal. What era was that? 50s or 60s or?
Yeah, it ended. It ended at different times. I had a job. I did that. I had a job at a restaurant in Lawrence, Kansas, and I had a 2-week vacation. And I was such an idiot, you know. I decided to hitchhike to New York from Lawrence, Kansas. I can't believe I did it.
Wow.
But I got a backpack and walked out to the highway, the I-70, and started hitchhiking. And, you know, I'm such a dumbass. But I made it all the way to St. Louis and then realized it was just not going to work. It was too hard to get a ride. And all the people who stopped, of course, were in older cars. And we're like, what's up with you? You know, get in. But I got to St. Louis and I realized this is just not going to work. I remember actually walking down the highway. I was walking out of St. Louis to the east, and I looked back at the big arch. I could still just barely see it. And I said, fuck this. All right. I turned around and walked.
Be hanging out
I was out in East St. Louis on the highway. And so I walked all the way back into the city, over the bridge, and went to the bus station. And then took a bus to New York to my friends. So that was the last time I ever did that. It was, again, just out of, I don't know if anybody even knew I was doing it. Somebody should have said, hey, don't do this. Don't do this. This is not,
hitchhikers
it's not on the road.
Like Europe, it's like.
It's different there.
Different, you know, and it's like, you can tell like who the backpacking hippies are. I had a 10-hour drive from Zurich to Berlin once by myself, and I was like running on fumes.
Man.
And there was just like this nice lady. She was probably like in her late 20s, just backpacking, you know. You could tell she probably hadn't taken a shower in a while, had dreadlocks and stuff. But I was like, this lady's not going to rob me. She can. And then she, you know, we talked the whole time. She kept me awake, so it was cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, and in like Ireland, you know, especially out in the West, you will pick up hitchhikers. Like you're an idiot, you know, you're an ass if you go by someone. Like I'm sure you played Galway, you know, and I remember talking to someone about that. It's like, oh yeah, man, I got the back seat of my car is covered with plastic, you know, so that I know I'm going to be picking somebody up with muddy boots, you know, and so.
There's people in the world, man. The Irish, what's going on there? They got it figured out in some way.
They've suffered, man. So it's really made them. I don't know what it is. I love Irish people. I thought about, you know, how much I love, because that was where I had my, you know, this is probably like you too. I had my first success over there in Holland and Ireland and England. I always had this fantasy of moving there. I did move there for a few months, you know, I went to Holland a couple of months, and it just didn't work out. I realized, man, I like it here, but I can't live here. Mm-hmm. You know, being an expat is really, it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to really just
Asia for 2 years, and that was beyond.
Oh, you did? Where'd you live?
Saigon, Vietnam.
See, that's crazy. That's a big move, man. You know.
I mean, living in Ireland, that's basically like more or less, I mean, America in a lot of ways. So you could,
sure.
I mean,
I get it. Yeah.
Yelling into their headset right now, like, yeah, whatever, Newski. But I mean, it's like you have the pop culture overlap, and you're not gonna go insane in the same way that you do like living in Asia. But
no,
South
that would
Africa
be doable.
Too, nicest people on the whole planet, you know.
Sure, man. Yeah, they get a bad rap, but that's a beautiful place down there too.
Yeah, man.
But still, I want to move back to. I want to travel. I'd love to, you know, I want to travel again and get on the road playing, but I want to live back in. I moved to New York when I was 25 for a reason, because
man. It's all happening.
Well, I'm going to be there for Joey's song, you know, on January 8th.
Oh, sweet.
You know Joey's song, the Mike Gommel's epilepsy benefit that he does.
The day I fly out to Cape Town.
Oh shit, you're leaving that day?
Yeah.
God damn, it's going to be a great show, man. Jody Stevens from Big Star is going to be there. He's going to sing a few songs.
Are you coming into town
Rick Nielsen's going to.
When are you getting?
What's that?
When are you getting here? When are you getting to Wisconsin?
I'm flying in on the 5th.
Oh, well, shit. We could meet up, man. I'm around.
Let's meet up. I'm flying it. Christy's picking me up. I fly Southwest. I can't fly any other airline, so I have to fly to Milwaukee.
Fuck yeah.
And Christy's coming to
We'll do it.
Oh, you're living in Milwaukee?
Some coffee. Yeah, before you go.
Let's do it.
Are you staying in Madison?
Christy's going to come get me. Yeah, KG, Christy, Christy Jenna, she's picking me up. And yeah, man, maybe we'll meet up with you in that night in Milwaukee. Because that's
typed it into my calendar, FREEDY, Milwaukee, January 5th.
There actually might be, I'll let you know, Brett, I'll email you. I think there's a Milwaukee supporter of Mike Gommel's Joey's Song benefit, which is awesome. Please put that in your information for folks if you don't mind, because I want to support him any way I can. But one of his supporters is doing a party, just like a get together at a bar to get people excited about Joey's Song. And I think they want our band Know It All Boyfriends with Butch and Duke and Jay and Pi, James. I'm sorry, I don't call him Pi anymore. James and the rest of it, Frank. So we might be there anyway. I'll let you know.
Cool.
We'll hook up.
Any projects you want to kind of punt here before we close up shop here?
Any projects?
Yeah, any free?
No, I'm doing my record.
Okay.
I'm doing my record. Well, I will say this. I'm my record, The Hobart Brothers and Little Sis with John D. Graham and Susan Calso were about 12 years ago. I'm putting that up on the what am I trying to say? Putting it up on CD Baby so it can be streamed again because it hasn't been really available. So I want to just let people know about that. It's a record I did with those two, and it really has stood the test of time. We were all three going through hell, and it comes through in the music. So that's gonna happen. The Hobart Brothers record is gonna be out there. I'm just making my record, man, and I do my side thing is I do like I did when I was younger. I do painting and drawing, just for myself. Painting and drawing.
That stuff?
Oil paint. Well, and I'm trying to get some done. That's my project. Is I'm going to eventually have some stuff online because I want to sell the damn things. I need a side hustle.
We brought paintings,
and so that's
to our last show and sold 3 paintings.
See, oh, you do it too?
Yeah, not.
Oh, that's great.
I do when I remember because like we travel with so much gear now, so. For me to like put paintings in the van with all the giant heavy gear, it's like they're so likely to get smashed, So I bring them out and they usually go pretty good.
I bet they go really fast because it's not like if I was a painter, I'd have to like get an agent and just get a gallery and stuff. But these are paintings by the musician. That's the people who want it are fans.
It's so cool.
So yeah, man, it's that's the only thing I do. I'm a pretty simple guy.
Love it, man. Well, it's so awesome talking to you, man. I love you, and
love you, Brett. Man, thanks.
We'll keep it going.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm really proud of you, brother. You are you're a hero.
Thanks.
I'm really
and saying so much nice stuff over the years. It's honestly really kept me going.
It's really true, man. When I see you, like here I am in Mexico City, here I am in wherever the hell you've been, you were in Europe recently. I'm like, go, Brett, go, man. It's beautiful. You're keeping the torch alive.
Likewise, brother. All right, FREEDY Johnston, much love, much respect. Dirt from the road.
Oh man, thank you, Brett Newski. I'll see you in January in Wisconsin.
Love it.